We are thrilled to have a special person share his incredible story with you right now. Another one of our incredible guests this afternoon. He's one of Canada's top 20 under 20. He changes the world through his rap and his poetry. And he has raised over $1 million for the United Way's community building efforts, and has been featured on MTV alongside artists such as Sarah McLachlan and Billy Talent. Most recently, he has freestyled with hip-hop artist Kendrick Lamar. Please welcome Wali Shah.
They say that you should never judge a book by its cover. But people very easily judge you by your clothes and skin color. See, people don't bother to look further under the skin, the flesh, and facial expressions. They'd rather stereotype you by the way that you dress, and they'd rather not bother to think for a second that you might be stressing, that you grew up a mess and had a life full of tension. See, stereotyping has become more of a fashion and evolved into genocide when put into action. And as our actions turn into reactions, we ruin our children who have minds full of passion. And so I'd like to share a story about a kid who grew up kind of screwed up and regretted all he did. And I hope that by the end you won't be as quick to judge, that you'll drop a stereotype or won't hold a grudge. So imagine a child that's 6 years old who was constantly bullied, even when his parents would scold him, so thin from malnutrition, no food in his belly and no food in his kitchen. But that's to be expected in the suburbs of T.O., where the streets run by gangs and low-life zeros. And as time went on, he saw the opportunities. The thugs were his fam, and the gang was true unity. And even when he moved, that wouldn't change his cruel middle school. He never thought to be strange. He was a cage, bottle rage, a maze full of madness. Pain was his address, with mail from sadness. Growing up, he started dealing and still in a 12-year-old mind that was turned into a villain. He was in love with the block and in love with the chill, and he was hurt inside, but no one knew how he was feeling. He got hurt and hurt cats. They talk bad, he talked back, and at times, he couldn't leave his house without a weapon. He carried a switchblade everywhere for protection and reflection. He got bullied and jumped by his best friends. Flip philosophy, the means don't justify the ends. His young mind was now set for revenge, in the moment that his thug life had peaked and deceased was the same moment he was weak in custody of police. It was March 2009. Assault was a charge. This wasn't the first time. He knew this life would be hard. After this, he knew his record would never be gone, and worst of all, they cuffed him right in front of his mom. They threw him in the back as his mother's eyes filled with tears. The boy, almost 15, had a mind full of fears. They took him to Division 12. He spent that night behind bars and crushed his fantasy of having money and fast cars. It wasn't until he got the chill from the cold cell block that he realized the consequences of stealing and selling rock. He did two things that night. He cried and he thought. He thought of those unfortunate who had even less, and how he himself had to be blessed. So he vowed, with his head bowed, facing his chest, that he would try his hardest and chase success and give respect back to those who gave him the best. And as his teen entered a period of betterment, his effort towards a positive change became evident. He started giving respect to the nerds with the glasses. He stopped skipping and got above 80 in all of his classes and passes his now realistic goals. He could use some time management, but now his heart isn't cold. He's the kind of person who feeds love till his whole population wants nothing more than a society with a proper education, and started poetry illustrating his dedication now. 4 years later, that youth at 19 would speak about his past and material dreams, the gangster schemes, thugs, goons, and crack fiends, the lust and greed to get the green, and fighting past the point in which one would bleed. His past experiences seemed to motivate and help him concentrate to become better. He now works at a Catholic community center to make cheddar. He'd attend conferences to learn and sharpen his mind. He talked to at-risk youth about the man he left behind, and preached the fact that his life was now at its prime. And the youth could help too, by spitting a rhyme, or even by simply making better use of their time. He was a social leader / rap diva, either making a change or spitting lyrical fire to help others in the situation and to inspire a young kid. Yeah, he might rock some gangster attire, but he tried to watch his actions and not be a liar. And I know you'd expect this kid to be a criminal. But before you judge someone, don't be as cynical. Because you see, the picture I painted just couldn't be. But the child in that story, that child is me. Thank you. 15 years old. I remember getting arrested in the lobby of my building. And I will never forget the sound of the handcuffs as it clicked across my wrists. The next thing I remember was being behind in the back of the cop car and feeling like I couldn't breathe because the space was so tight. I remember sitting in the back of the police car and I turned my head to my right, and directly to my right at the same time, my mom was walking out of the lobby doors. Immediately I made eye contact with my mom and saw tears running down her cheeks. Her screams that day still echo in my head. "Where are you taking my son? Where's my son going? Give me my son back," is the last thing I remember before the cruiser pulled out of the drive. I spent that night in a cell, and I thought about where my life was going. I thought about the friends that I had and the activities that I was getting involved in, and I thought about how I wanted to change. But changing isn't something that we can do alone. And I was a very, very lucky person. Because the week that I came back to school, there was assembly. Social Awareness Day was what they called it. Very similar to We Can Change the World Day. And there was a speaker from an organization called For the Children who was sharing his story. After the speaker spoke, I remember feeling so empowered, wanted to make a change, that I wanted to find out who would organize the event. And there I found someone named Miss McIntosh. Miss McIntosh was my teacher, and she was also my mentor. She was one person I could talk to every time something was going wrong. She was one person that I could bounce ideas off of and just have a conversation with. Miss McIntosh is a reason that I'm talking to you today and that I'm not behind bars. So I want to emphasize two things. Be a mentor. Help people. When someone's having a bad day, it's simple. Smile. Say hello, introduce yourself. Little things like that can make the biggest difference. And two, look for mentorship. We can't get through all the trials and tribulations that life throws at us on our own. And sometimes it's okay to ask for help. Whether that's a teacher, like for me, it was Miss McIntosh, or a community leader, or an older cousin or sibling or an aunt or an uncle. Sometimes having a conversation can be the best thing, and it might be the reason that we are better off. In February 2013, I was checking the mail, and there was a letter from the University of Toronto. And I remember feeling nervous because I didn't know what to expect. But as I opened the letter, it said I got accepted. And I remember taking that letter home to my mom, and my mom was really sick that day. And my mom was a very, very stereotypical South Asian mother. I walked in the door, and she's reading her Pakistani newspaper. She's drinking her chai tea. And I said, "Mom, I need to show you something." And she looked at me, and she's like, "Wally, what trouble are you in now?" And I said, "Mom, seriously, I need to show you something." And she's like, "Okay, give me 5 minutes." Now, every parent's 5 minutes. It's always 2 hours. So I'm waiting for 2 hours at the table. She finally comes over, and I put the letter in front of her. And she starts reading it. And by the time she's finished reading that letter, she has the same tears in her eyes that she did when I got arrested a few years back. And I was frozen. And I didn't know what to tell her. But the first words that came to my head were thank you. Thank you for everything that you have done. Thank you for all that you have supported me through. And I'm sorry for everything that's happened. You are my hero. You are my champion. And I wouldn't be here without you. But when I was saying thank you to my mom, I realized that I wasn't just saying thank you to her, but I was saying thank you to Miss McIntosh. And to every other person that had mentored me. Every person that supported me and said, "Wally, I believe in you." And today, I would like to extend that thank you to all of you for being here and for listening to my story and for making a change. Thank you so much, guys.